You're listening to the CyberWire Network, powered by N2K.
When it comes to ensuring your company has top-notch security practices, things can get complicated fast. Vanta automates compliance for SOC 2, ISO 27001, HIPAA, and more, saving you time and money. With Vanta, you can streamline security reviews by automating questionnaires and demonstrating your security posture with a customer-facing trust center. Over 7,000 global companies like Atlassian, Flow Health, and Quora use Vanta to manage risk and prove security in real time. Our listeners can claim a special offer of $1,000 off Vanta at vanta.com/cyber. That's VANTA.com/cyber for $1,000 off Vanta. Threat actors use a malicious Pidgin plugin to deliver malware. The BlackByte ransomware group is exploiting a recently patched VMware ESXi vulnerability. The State Department offers a $2.5 million reward for a major malware distributor. A Swiss industrial manufacturer suffers a cyber attack. The U.S. Marshals Service responds to claims of data theft by the Hunters International ransomware gang. Harkenfly reports a data breach affecting 1 million customers. Lotus Labs documents the active exploitation of a zero-day vulnerability in Versa Director servers. Federal law enforcement agencies warn that Iran-based cyber actors continue to exploit U.S. and foreign organizations. We kick off our new educational Cert Bite segment with hosts Chris Hare and George Monsalvatge. And pre-crime detectives root out election-related misinformation before it happens. It's Wednesday, August 28th, 2024. I'm Dave Bittner, and this is your CyberWire Intel Briefing. Thanks for joining us here today. It is great to have you with us, as always. Threat actors have been delivering malware to instant messaging users via a malicious Pidgin plugin and an unofficial fork of the Signal app. The Pidgin messaging app developers discovered that a plugin named Screen Share OTR had made it onto their official third-party plugins list. The plugin, which claimed to offer screen sharing over the OTR protocol, actually contained keylogging code and shared screenshots with its operators. ESET's analysis revealed that the plugin could download and execute malicious scripts, including the Dark Gate malware, which steals credentials and logs keystrokes. A similar backdoor was found in Cradle, an unofficial Signal fork, which also included malicious code and used the same certificate as the Pidgin plugin. Both the Pidgin plugin and the Cradle app had Linux versions with similar capabilities. ESET has provided indicators of compromise to help detect these threats. Security researchers at Cisco Talos have identified that the BlackByte ransomware group is exploiting a recently patched vulnerability in VMware ESXi hypervisors to deploy ransomware and gain full administrative access to victim networks. The vulnerability allows attackers to bypass authentication on ESXi systems joined to an Active Directory domain. By exploiting this flaw, BlackByte can create a malicious EXadmins group, granting themselves administrative privileges. Cisco Talos researchers observed the group using this vulnerability to deploy ransomware, which spreads across networks using stolen credentials and vulnerable drivers. Microsoft has also noted similar exploits by other ransomware groups. Organizations are urged to patch their VMware ESXi systems promptly and implement strong access controls and monitoring to mitigate the impact of these attacks. The U.S. Department of State announced a $2.5 million reward for information leading to the arrest of Volodymyr Kolodaria, a Belarusian and Ukrainian national, involved in mass malware distribution. Kadyrha, also known by several aliases, was indicted in June 2023, alongside Maxim Silnikow and Andrei Tarasov for wire fraud and computer fraud conspiracy. Kadyrha allegedly participated in distributing the Angler exploit kit from 2013 through 2022, using malvertising and scareware ads to spread malware, including ransomware. Victims were deceived into downloading malicious software or providing personal information, which was then sold on Russian cybercrime forums. The scheme also involved selling access to compromised devices. Silnikow was recently extradited to the U.S. to face related charges. Schlatter Industries AG, a Swiss industrial manufacturer, experienced a significant disruption in its IT services due to a cyberattack involving malware on Friday. The company, a global leader in welding and weaving machines, reported that the attackers were attempting to blackmail them, likely demanding a ransom in exchange for encryption keys or to prevent the release of stolen data. While the specific malware wasn't disclosed, the nature of the attack suggests it's probably ransomware. Schlatter has involved internal specialists, external experts, and authorities to mitigate the damage and investigate the potential theft of data. The U.S. Marshals Service has investigated claims by the Hunters International ransomware gang, which recently posted 386 gigabytes of sensitive data online, including files on gangs, FBI documents, and case information. U.S. Marshals Service spokesperson Brady McCarran stated that the data does not stem from a new breach, but is identical to information stolen during a ransomware attack on the agency in 2022. The Marshals Service confirmed that the 2022 incident was significant, though the group behind it was never identified. Hunters International, known for high-profile attacks, is now soliciting monetary offers for the stolen data until August 30th. The U.S. Marshals Service did not comment on whether they had received any ransom demands, and the investigation into the previous hack remains ongoing. The gang's recent actions have raised alarms due to their history of threatening victims to extort money. Park and Fly, a major off-airport parking service provider in Canada, has reported a data breach affecting 1 million customers after hackers accessed its network using stolen VPN credentials in mid-July. The breach, which occurred between July 11th and July 13th, exposed personal information such as full names, email addresses, and physical addresses, Aeroplan numbers, and CAA numbers. However, no financial or payment card information was compromised. The company discovered the breach on August 1st and has since restored impacted systems while implementing additional security measures. Park and Fly's CEO, Carlo Morello, expressed regret over the incident and emphasized their commitment to safeguarding customer data. Customers have been advised to watch for phishing attempts and consider resetting passwords, especially those linked to Air Canada's frequent flyer program. Lotus Labs at Lumen Technologies discovered the active exploitation of a zero-day vulnerability in Versa Director servers used by Internet and managed service providers to manage SD-WAN configurations. The vulnerability, affecting all Versa Director versions before 22.1.4, allows attackers to deploy a custom web shell named VersaMem, which intercepts credentials and runs additional Java code in memory. The exploitation, linked to Chinese state-sponsored groups Volt Typhoon and Bronze Silhouette, began as early as June 2024 and targeted several U.S. and non-U.S. entities. Lotus Labs advises all Versa Director users to upgrade to version 22.1.4 or later and follow Versa Network's security advisories. Due to the severity and potential impact on strategic assets, Lumen Technologies has shared this intelligence with U.S. government agencies. And speaking of U.S. government agencies, the FBI, CISA, and the Department of Defense Cyber Crime Center have issued a joint cybersecurity advisory warning that Iran-based cyber actors continue to exploit U.S. and foreign organizations as of August 2024. These targets include sectors such as education, finance, healthcare, defense, and local governments in the U.S., as well as entities in Israel, Azerbaijan, and the UAE. The FBI assesses that these actors aim to gain network access and collaborate with ransomware affiliates to deploy ransomware, while also conducting cyberespionage for the Iranian government. The advisory provides detailed tactics, techniques, and procedures and indicators of compromise, urging organizations to implement recommended mitigations to defend against these ongoing threats. The guidance is based on FBI investigations and technical analysis of these malicious activities. Coming up after the break, a first look at our new educational Cert Bite segment. Stay with us. And now, a word from our sponsor, KnowBe4. It's all connected, and we're not talking conspiracy theories. When it comes to InfoSec tools, effective integrations can make or break your security stack. The same should be true for security awareness training. KnowBe4, provider of the world's largest library of security awareness training, provides a way to integrate your existing security stack tools to help you strengthen your organization's security culture. KnowBe4's Security Coach uses standard APIs to quickly and easily integrate with your existing security products from vendors like Microsoft, CrowdStrike, and Cisco, 35 vendor integrations and counting. Security Coach analyzes your security stack alerts to identify events related to any risky security behavior from your users. Use this information to set up real-time coaching campaigns targeting risky users based on those events from your network, endpoint, identity, or web security vendors. Then coach your users at the moment the risky behavior occurs, with contextual security tips delivered via Microsoft Teams, Slack, or email. Learn more at knowbe4.com/securitycoach. That's knowbe4.com/securitycoach. And we thank KnowBe4 for sponsoring our show. The IT world used to be simpler. You only had to secure and manage environments that you controlled. Then came new technologies and new ways to work. Now, employees, apps, and networks are everywhere. This means poor visibility, security gaps, and added risk. That's why Cloudflare created the first-ever connectivity cloud. Visit cloudflare.com to protect your business everywhere you do business. We are pleased to be kicking off a new bi-weekly educational segment called Cert Bite. It's hosted by N2K's Chris Hare, along with George Monsalvatge. I sat down with Chris and George to find out more about Cert Bite. Well, Chris and George, welcome. It's great to have you here on the show, and I'm excited to talk about this new segment that we're going to be sharing, and it is called Cert Bite. Can I start with you, Chris? Before we dig into what Cert Bite is, can you give us a little bit about yourself and your own background?
So yes, thanks so much, Dave, for having us. I'm a project management specialist and content developer here at N2K. I've been here about a year and a half. I have about 20 plus years of experience as a writer and certified project manager. I've worked for several great companies, including N2K, such as Patagonia, Adobe, Harbor Freight Tools, and Guitar Center. I hold about 9 professional certifications and counting, and I'm currently in charge of all project management related training and exam content. And I'm also the creator and host of this new podcast segment on your network, Dave, that we're here to discuss called Cert Bite.
All right. George, how about you? What brings you to the table here?
I am a former Microsoft certified trainer. I've been training on Microsoft or working with Microsoft for 30 years, man. 30 years. Can you believe that? So I have a whole bunch of Microsoft certifications, and I have been working probably for the past 17 years writing content for practice tests and for people who want to achieve their Microsoft certification.
Well, let's dig into CertByte itself. Chris, what is the premise of this show?
So, Dave, every 2 weeks, I share a practice question from N2K's suite of top certification exam content and a study tip, basically to help our listeners fast track their career growth in IT, cybersecurity, and project management fields. And in each episode, I feature a guest host and one question from a leading certification exam. And for the first 4 episodes, my teammate George here will be my wingman.
George, what sort of things can we expect from the episodes you're going to be part of?
Well, we take a look at the actual exam. So we take one of the questions and we analyze it and basically find out why is it right, why is it wrong. So and also kind of when we do that, take a look and see how to use the process of elimination when finding the answers.
Chris, I understand there's also going to be some study tips here.
Yeah, so we also share what I like to call a 10-second study bit, which offers a quick studying or prep strategy for the particular exam we're discussing.
So, George, obviously you have a good bit of expertise with the Microsoft-based questions. Are we going to be leading into that for your segments?
Yes, I will be handling most of the Microsoft-based segments, but we would like to, and we will certainly delve into other disciplines, whether they be project management, CompTIA, Cisco, or others.
So, Chris, beyond the questions themselves, I mean, there's some additional materials that you all are supplying as well.
Yeah, so we have show notes that have some really good info in there too. Anytime we've used a term that we think may be helpful for our listener to delve into or learn more about, we link out to our glossary, and that also features word notes for some of our terms.
And who do you suppose the target audience is here? I mean, does it go beyond the folks who are just getting started in their career?
It is for anybody who is looking to start their career, pivot at any level of their career, anybody who has an interest in IT, cybersecurity, and project management fields.
You planning on turning the tables on Chris to see how she does there as well?
Well, she is a smart cookie, so I know that she'll do well.
Likewise, George.
So what's the cadence here, Chris? How often can we expect to enjoy this segment here on the CyberWire Daily?
So it will be bi-weekly, and it will air on Wednesdays.
All right, well, without further ado, how about we share the first CertByte segment with our listeners? Here it is.
Hi, everyone. It's Chris. I'm a content developer and project management specialist here at N2K Networks. I'm also your host for this week's edition of Cert Bite, where I share a practice question from our suite of industry-leading content and a study tip to help you achieve the professional certifications you need to fast-track your career growth. Today's question targets the PMP, the Project Management Institute's Project Management Professional Certification, the global gold standard cert, typically targeted for those who have about 3 to 5 years of project management experience. This is not an actual test question, but an example of one that covers an objective for the 7th edition exam, which came out in August of 2021. And today, I've invited my teammate George to join me. How are you today, George?
I'm great, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So George is a highly technical Microsoft expert, and I thought it'd be fun to see how much he knows about project management. So I know you've earned your PMP, George. Is that right?
I did. And that was a long time ago, 12 years ago. Can you believe that?
That's all right. I took mine quite a bit ago, so no problem. So George, before we get into the question, I'm going to share a 10-second study bit for this exam for our listeners. You've taken the PMP already, but I'd like to know if this resonates with you. So my 10-second study bit for the PMP is do a formula dump once you sit down at your testing site and get out your scratch paper, because not all credential tests let you do this, and I'm not sure if Microsoft exams let you do this as well. but I was
They
able
do.
to do this for the PMP. They do? Oh, that's good. It's a huge advantage, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And so do you have a study tip for the PMP you'd like to share as well?
Well, I would just like to add on to what you were saying. You certainly need to dump all those formulas that are in your brain onto a piece of paper before you take the test. Chris, when I took that exam, it was 3 to 4 hours. It took forever and a day. So my study tip would be when you go through practice test questions, make sure you go through the practice test questions for at least a 4-hour period so that you are prepared to actually sit the exam, to spend the 4 hours in that testing room. That would be my tip.
Great tip. And it was 4 hours back in the day when we took it. It is now just shy of 4 hours, but that is still a good tip. So thank you for sharing that. All right, George, are you ready for your question?
I guess so.
You'll do fine. So here's your question. Your project team is due to submit a deliverable today, and you discover a defect in it. You're aware that your customer does not have enough technical knowledge to notice this defect. The deliverable technically meets the contract requirements, but would fail the fitness to use condition, which means basically it does not meet its intended purpose. So what should you do in this situation? And here are your choices.
Okay.
Should you A, inform the customer that the delivery will be late? B, document the matter in the lessons learned for future use? C, deliver the deliverable, get the formal acceptance, and keep quiet? Or D, discuss the matter with your customer? So, George, while you're thinking this over, I'm going to give you a second to think about it while I give you a bit of context around this.
Okay.
So the question is testing your knowledge of PMI's Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct, which is a separate document from the PMBOK. And it basically covers the moral parameters for conduct of a project manager in their profession. So basically, honesty, responsibility, respect, and fairness. So all that said, what would be your answer?
Well, looking at these choices, Chris, the only one that works would be discuss the matter with your customer. Let me explain why. So the first one you said was inform the customer that the delivery is going to be late. You may have to do that, which brings up the other question or more questions. So that goes back to discuss the matter with your customer. Document the matter and lessons learned for future use. You're going to have to do that anyway. And keep quiet, probably not a good idea. You're going to end up getting sued. So I'm going to go with discuss the matter with your customer.
Excellent reasoning and excellent choice. That is the correct answer, D. You should discuss the matter with your customer. So according to PMI's Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct, the project manager should protect the best interests of the stakeholders and be honest with them about the true status of the project. So discussing the matter with your customer is the best approach. Good job, George.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being my project management guinea pig. Really appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for joining me for this week's Cert Bite. If you're actively studying for this certification and have any questions about study tips or even future certification questions you'd like to see, please feel free to email me at certbyte@n2k.com. That's CertByte@n2k.com. If you'd like to learn more about N2K's practice tests, visit our website at n2k.com/certify. For sources and citations for this question, please check out our show notes. Happy certifying.
Our Cert Bite segments will run every other week right here on the CyberWire Daily Podcast. And finally, in a twist straight out of Minority Report, the cybersecurity firm Before AI is playing the role of pre-crime detectives, just like the precogs from the movie, but with a digital twist. They're not predicting murders, but they are spotting cybercrimes before they happen, specifically election-related scams and misinformation campaigns. These cyber criminals are registering domains with candidate names like Trump, Biden, Harris, and Kamala to create believable phishing sites aimed at stealing personal and financial information or spreading propaganda. Some sites are laughably amateurish, while others are sophisticated enough to fool unsuspecting voters. Before AI has even found some pre-crime sites linked to shady cryptocurrency schemes, and others spreading malware. While these bad actors seem more interested in making a quick buck than swinging an election, their tactics are a reminder that the digital Wild West is alive and well as we head toward the polls. And that's the Cyberwire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to cyberwire@n2k.com. We're privileged that N2K Cyberwire is part of the daily routine of the most influential leaders and operators in the public and private sector, from the Fortune 500 to many of the world's preeminent intelligence and law enforcement agencies. N2K makes it easy for companies to optimize your biggest investment, your people. We make you smarter about your teams while making your teams smarter. Learn how at n2k.com. This episode was produced by Liz Stokes. Our mixer is Trey Hester, with original music and sound design by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Eiben. Our executive editor is Brandon Karp. Simone Petrella is our president, Peter Kilpie is our publisher, and I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow. This September 18th and 19th in Denver, a tight community of leading experts is gathering to tackle the toughest cybersecurity challenges we face. It's happening at MWise, the unique conference built by practitioners for practitioners. Brought to you by Mandiant, now part of Google Cloud, MWise features one-to-one access with industry experts and fresh insights into the topics that matter most, right now, to frontline practitioners. Register early and save at mwise.io/cyberwire. That's mwise.io/cyberwire.